Yeah, thanks to the team at Campbell Safety Consulting. Darian, the Riders add Aussie punter Bailey Flint today. Global punter. Didn't play last year, before that with Hamilton. What's with is it just because of the Aussie rules football that now every punter is from Australia?
I think you're getting a little bit more of an athlete at the punter position for sure when you look at these type of players. And I mean, look, the more threat you are with fakes, to keep your drive going, a guy that can move a little bit as well as punt on the run. I mean, it's a threat for your team. So, whatever you can do to make the team better, you should be all for it. So kudos to J.O. and the Riders for getting this done.
Darian, when it comes to the special team guys, like your place kicker, your punter, all that, do you talk to them on a regular, or do you just leave them alone, let them do their thing? Because they're kind of like goalies in hockey. If there's a bit of a weird position that it's a total unique personality, like how did you interact or not with your guys?
No, they're one of the guys, man. I mean, you'll find out that some kickers and punters are some of the chillest, just most down-to-earth guys on the team. I actually was roommates with Luka Kanji early on in my career, so I never had any beef with those guys, even though they probably had a tougher job than me because, sometimes they could not see the field the entire game and didn't have the game on their shoulders. So it's not an easy job, and just having those conversations with Luka back in the day, it's interesting the perspective they have on the game. So, they're one of the guys to me, and they'll always be.
It's the thing about punt. Like, if anyone's ever kicked a football, it's not just wind up and boom it. And nowadays, man, they can place it. And, in the NFL, it was a coffin corner for the longest time. But in the CFL, we saw it last year, how they would just kick it away. From Alfred.
Yep.
Yeah. The thing about punting in the CFL, especially in Saskatchewan or Winnipeg, man, you got to deal with wind.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, you have to be able – look, field position, especially in Saskatchewan and Manitoba, is so huge. I mean, you'll go 2 quarters against the wind, and you have to be able to play a field position game. And you have to have punters and kickers who are deadly with their placement. So, the more guys you can have in at camp to compete, for sure that 2 quarters, for at least 4 or 5 games a year, you're not going to be able to do much because of the wind. So it's essential to have these guys on the roster.
So over the weekend, the Riders had 2 free agent camps in Florida. And we were talking earlier last hour, it'd be funny if you got dressed up, nobody knew who you were in a disguise, and showed up at one of these and just started slinging it all over the place. And next thing you know, like J.O. was asking, do you got an agent? Who is this guy? Who's that guy out there? Now, a lot of these guys showing up, and there's probably anywhere between 40 to 100 dudes. They're working other jobs. They're delivering food. They're working at Best Buy. Some of them are personal trainers. They're working at insurance companies. But today, maybe their agent is getting word to be like, hey, we want to offer you a tryout to come, and your life changes like that. That's probably the beauty of sports, but also that's the tragic part of sports or whatever, is that 1% of the 1% that to get that opportunity. I mean, you've seen guys' lives change on both sides, opportunity, and when the opportunity gets taken away. If you're going to one of these free agent things, like, you just got to go in there and just all out?
Yeah, you have to. I mean, you have to find a way to stand out. If that's your energy, if that's with your 40-yard dash, if that's, what you do in these drills, the one-on-one drills, you have to do something to catch the coaches or GM's eyes to give you that opportunity to come to training camp. So, I think what coaches and GMs look for with these camps is just a handful of guys, maybe 3 or 4 guys that can come in, compete during camp, and potentially, have the opportunity to change your roster and make the roster. So, the percentages of guys making the team from these type of camps are very low, but what you're really looking for is that 1 or 2, 3 guys that can possibly come in who've been flying under the radar, who teams are overlooking, these other leagues are overlooking, guys who can come in and pretty much help your roster.
I wonder how in this day and age, like, let's be honest, guys, our dollar isn't great. I wonder how many guys are going to these camps and getting convinced by a buddy, just come out for a run. Come on. And then I'm sure that it's not as though, okay, we're going to invite you, come up to camp. There's going to be a lot of thought process. Some of these guys probably have professions going, Darian, right? Like, what kind of guy? Give us maybe a look, or guys that that would be at this.
But see, the thing is, it's a lot different now with these 1-year contracts than it was back when I was playing. You would sign, 2 years and an option, 3 years and an option in some cases. So you're basically getting locked into 3 and 4 years before you even step foot in Canada. But now with these 1-year deals, agents can negotiate for these guys to come up, give it a shot for 1 year, give it a shot for training camp. And you have to realize, not only are you in camp and putting things on film for the team you're assigned to, there's 8 other teams that are going to see these preseason games, that are going to see the practices, that are going to consult with these GMs to see, what kind of guy is this? Can this guy really play? So you're not just doing it for the team that signed you. You're doing it for all the other teams in the league. And the beauty of it now is you can sign a 1-year deal, even though it could be at the minimum, and you can have a hell of a season and then put yourself in position that could really change your family's life. So the beauty of these 1-year deals, it's great for these guys that can come up, give it a shot, and then see what they want to do after a year.
With a lot of these guys showing up, if they had tape from somewhere playing in college, is there a good chance that, from, the Riders scouting side, they would have watched some of this and now they're expecting to see, like, how many guys would actually just be showing up out of the middle of nowhere that no one's ever heard or seen before? Because now with the world of YouTube, it's kind of like everybody's got a highlight video.
Well, I think, the Riders staff, they've been doing their due diligence, and they know exactly who's coming to these camps, and they're aware of their history, excuse me. And, if it's a guy that's been productive in his past in college, so they know who it is. And I think they just want to see these guys in person, see if they've been working out, see what type of shape they're in, and see if they can still play. And, we're about a month or so away from camp. So this is J.O. kind of gets an idea of who can come in and who's in shape. And, you have to think of injury risk as well. If a guy's out of shape, then the chances of him getting hurt go way up. So J.O., they're definitely taking all of these things into consideration and looking for guys who are really, fit, in shape, and can come in and be able to play in a month.
Do you got any good stories, guys, back when you were playing that either came through one of these camps or just a funny story, from one of these camps?
You know what? I really don't, because when we did these type of camps, we would bring in the starters, right? We were bringing the guys who were on the team. We were bringing, our entire coaching staff for the most part. So we were doing pretty much going over the playbook. We were installing plays as if we were in training camp already. So we really didn't have it wide open to all of these free agents and different guys who were trying to make a roster spot or make a squad. It was more so for us to come in, learn the playbook. If we had Coach Cortez, a different offensive system, some things we could come in and kind of get a head start before the season and, put our face in the playbook a little bit.
Honest question. If you were running the team or you were GM and all that, dollars invested to what you got out of it, was it worth it?
Look, if you can bring in a guy that is a potential backup, and I would say backup because your starting guys are already pretty much set. You can bring in a guy that's a backup, and then, God forbid, a starter gets hurt, and you found a guy down in Florida that is now thrust into the starting position. It's productive for your team, then it's worth it. But, it's hard to kind of gauge and say, you just never know who you can find. And this thing about football and the job security being totally in the hands of the players, you have to try to find these guys that can help your team because, like I said, if you find a guy that can fill in and save your season, the coaches and the GM's jobs are year to year. So if you can find a guy that potentially saves your job, then it's well worth the money.
Commissioner Johnston is now the 15th commissioner of the CFL, announced last week. He's coming from TSN. So he knows the inside out of the broadcast side of the industry, and now he's going to take that to the league. When Luke was on Friday, we had talked about that's a tough job. There's 9 teams. It's a lot of politicking, trying to make everybody happy. I had said, from the TV standpoint, make the game, all of them look like the Grey Cup. Yeah, it'll cost you more money, more cameras, but that's your best looking product you put out all year. As fans, we want that all the time.
You've never worried about budget, whatever.
Listen, till the money stops, the party keeps going, right? Everybody has got a different number one priority for this new commissioner. If you asked 5 CFL fans, what's the number one thing you would like to see out of the new commish, as far as, now that you're a fan of the league, what do you want him to work on?
First and foremost, I think he should do game of the week. I think you should take one game, the best game of the week, maybe even have the fans vote on it so you can get a little bit more engagement. And treat that game like a Grey Cup game. Have, the extra cameras. Try to, get as many fans involved. Have the festivities. Maybe bring an artist out to perform halftime or before the game, whatever the case is. The BC Lions have shown how successful bringing artists out could be. So I think if you could kind of get the fans vote for game of the week and turn that into a big spectacle and try to get as many viewers in on that game as much as possible, I think that's a start. But, hiring a guy who's been at TSN for almost 30 years, who knows the ins and outs of the TV side of the business, I think it's amazing. With the new CBA coming up in 2026, I think it's a perfect opportunity for the league to really get inside of the head of TSN and see what type of budget they have and see if it's something that can be very beneficial to the league and its players, because it's the perfect opportunity.
How important is having a U.S. carrier carry the CFL games?
I think it's a big deal. I mean, I'm not sure the type of numbers. I've never done any research on the numbers that come with the viewership of the games in the U.S., but I think it's a big deal for players and their families. Now, I'm not sure if this number runs up into, the 5 figures with over 10,000 or 20,000 views. I'm not sure. But, for players and families, I think it's a big deal. I'm just not sure if it's worth the money for huge networks like ESPN or, I think some things were on the sister networks of ESPN as well. I'm not sure if it's worth the money that they put into it. But, for us players and we love to have the game on for our families. It's huge.
Yeah, the past couple of seasons, they've showed 2 games a week on the CBS Sports Network. It'd be great if they could show all 4. I mean, here's the thing. If you were on vacation down in the States and you're like, oh, and wherever you're staying had CBS Sports Network, good, I'm not going to miss any football. And you could watch it there. I mean, that's where I'm saying, if you shot everything like the Grey Cup and you invested the money, you're putting your best product out to a very wide audience, and you never know who's watching. Like, why wouldn't you treat it that way?
Yeah, like I said, if you bring in a halftime act or bring in a pregame act, someone who's well known, now you'll have fans in the States not only tuning in for that entertainment, but they'll watch part of the game as well. And who knows, you may get some new fans with that, that type of advertisement.
Have you always thought it was kind of weird how we don't tailgate in Saskatchewan?
Absolutely. I mean, for the best fan base in the country to not have just a parking lot full of fans just cooking out, drinking, eating, whatever the case may be, just enjoying a couple hours before the game, it's nuts to me. You would think that Saskatchewan would be the home of tailgating in Canada.
Where's the best college tailgate you've ever been to?
Oh, wow. Probably University of Georgia. On my visit there, and this was a long time ago, But it was just nuts, man. And this wasn't even Georgia. This was Georgia before they were, national champions or participating in college playoffs. This was just, a solid top 25 football team. But I can only imagine how nuts it is now with the way they're winning.
Yeah, because Barney and Sharky got into this conversation last week, and I thought it's really funny. Every second person in Saskatchewan has a travel trailer or an RV that you could pull up to do a tailgate, and the fact not, and one of the things is, or a tent, whatever you want to do. And a lot of people, even if you've been to the ones in some of the other cities, like I know in Calgary, not everybody brings a travel trailer. Some people just set up out of the back of their pickup truck. They pull out their barbecue, they've got lawn chairs, and they get it going. And the thing is, and you've seen this, Darian, if you've ever been to these, a crowd attracts a crowd. And you wander around and you say hi to strangers you've never met, but you're all there for the common purpose of football. Hey, how's it going? Hey, did you want a hot dog? No, actually, I'm good. Here, did you want a drink? Sure. And you move on. And then now it's funny. And people are playing cornhole and all these fun games. And it's its own culture. And that's where, like, I was agreeing with him, be like, yeah, even if you tried it on even if it'll never work, try it for a year. See where you get. Did 70% of it work and you work on the other 30?
And most of Saskatchewan's games are the second half of a back-to-back anyway. So imagine if you could come out there, huge screen, put the game that's the East Coast game that's on at the time, have some drinks, you're watching a game, you'll get a huge crowd. I mean, it could be something that would be huge in Regina, and hopefully they look into it.
I don't know why we don't. What did I say? What was think we could get 200? Think you could get 200 spots filled for each Rider game? Because that's not a lot.
That's easy.
And if you charge $200 and you bring, what it's like to go tailgating at an NFL game or whatever, you could have 4 guys, you could have 5, you could have 10. Who cares? But now you got 40 grand in revenue every game.
Yeah.
Hey, again, I didn't work for what's the firm's name, Maz, in Boiler Room?
Oh, JT Marlin.
I'm not a JT Marlin guy, but I think that's easy money.
Absolutely. And that's on $200 is on the low end. So
I would say even if you did a pilot project, okay, you're going to take one game this year. And maybe it's an early if it is on a Saturday and you're going to try it out to be like, okay, we're going to try a tailgate like if you got to start small, pick a game, tailgate Saturday, and then go from there and see if it works, see if it doesn't work. You're going to figure out we had too many bathrooms. We had not enough. Parking was tough to get in. No RVs, small campers only. Pickup truck. Like you could figure all of this out and you don't have to be pot committed to a whole season of it.
Good idea.
Why just dip our toes in? Just do it already. I don't know. You got anything else, Mouse?
Because I was just going to say in the old days when the old Taylor Field was around, you know what we used to do? You would just sit in your car for a while and drink before you went into the stadium. This makes it a little more classy and a little more dignified. Than just sitting there looking around. Is anybody else watching? No, everybody around us is cool. No one's going to narc out. There's no security. All right.
The only downfall is now there are a lot of fans who come from out of town, right? So tailgating could get a little crazy, and you may have a little DUI problems after the game. So you have to think about that as well.
Yeah. You gotta rely on people to be adults. Safe ride home, hotel. Maybe it's just the people from here. I don't know.
Exactly.
All right, Darren. Yeah. Good stuff. Who's quarterback in the Steelers? Maybe by next week we'll know that. It's got to be Aaron,
yeah.
Right?
Man, my predictions have been wrong so far, so I don't want to say, but they have to do something.
I would love if Pittsburgh had a different option and they could just give him the big FU, get out of here. Because he's just teasing him.
Retire, right? Yeah, it just seems like he knows that they're desperate. They have 2 big receivers who need a quarterback. And he knows that, right? So it seems like he's holding them hostage a little bit.
All right, Darian, have a good week. Catch up with you on Monday.
Thanks, guys.